whatever. I kind of blew him off and left. Well, that was on a Tuesday. The following Wednesday, I received a phone call, excuse me, from his liaison asking me if I would be interested in taking a flight over the wetland, and I said, of course. I jumped on it. So he asked me to go down to the Venice operations and speak to the lieutenant commander there. So I, in fact, did. I went down there. We had over an hour meeting, and they told me that they would be flying me out the next day. I said, you know, guys, a flight's really not going to do it. If you're going to show me what's going on, I have to see in detail in order to have a correct assessment of what's actually going on here. So they invited me to come in and sit at their 8 o'clock a.m. meeting, and any other meeting that I needed, they would set up for me. So I have become, or was, I've kind of taken a break over the past 2 weeks. I had to get back to my own life a little bit, but at any rate, I went down there and I became what I refer to like a fly on the wall. I was very quiet for the first few weeks. I sat very quietly in a corner chair in a room with about 50 people in it, and these 50 people are BP safety people, BP logistics, the several members of the Coast Guard, Plaquemines Parish government, EPA, meteorologists. I mean, the whole room's just packed full of contractors and all of basically the bosses that are in Venice, Louisiana. And I sat there and I would take notes of what this one said and what that one said and what was going on. But the first day that I went down there, the one fellow, his name was Corey, he referenced to ponies and balloons. And he laughed as he walked out the door. And I really didn't understand that. But now I do, and one of my videos talks about that with one of the YouTube videos, what ponies and balloons mean, and that's the PR. Every time an official comes by, they send out ponies and balloons. It's a show. It is a show, a staged show to make it look like they're cleaning it up. They're not cleaning it up.
Well, no, I think they have ulterior motives. I think they have ulterior motives for not cleaning it up. I think they have a lot on the table, and it has to do with the financial markets and things. Our audience is pretty familiar with that, but I believe that they are using this spill to help get their basically their global cap and trade finance system on board, and that's why I think they've let it go on, because we have another host that is a crew member on one of those oil I don't know what you call them, but those big oil scooping ships that go out, and he said they have 13 of those down there. And there's never more than 2 of them out, ever. And when they get close to the oil, they always back them back off, and they don't even allow them to scoop it up. The only time they allow them to steam those ships around is when the cameras are out there to catch it. Otherwise, they're at the port. And do you have any similar stories to that down there?
Anytime they have any excuse to shut down the response, they do. Our parish president and our governor have been screaming to the top of their lungs because every time they go out there, there's a boat, here and there. There's these little bunches of boats, but they're sitting there. These guys are laid back on the boom, and our parish president, Billy Nungasser, has went up to the boat. There's been several reports of it, and I've spoke to Billy many times through this personally. And he said to me, Kendra, I go up to these boats, and they're just laid back on the boat. So I asked them, what are you doing? Why are you here? Who is your boss? And all of them say that they don't know. They don't even know who they're supposed to be getting their orders from. For instance, we had 3 boats parked on our pier. They were small Laker skiffs, outboard boats, and they had the same boom on them for a month and a half. I know because I got in the boat with a black Marks-A-Lot and marked the bags on the boat so I could see if it was the same bag, and the marked bags never left the boat. This is all PR. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not cleaning it up. And I say I don't know what they're doing as I've gotten through this and I've seen the political end of it and where all the drilling rigs are going. And, it just seems to me like all the pieces of the puzzle are kind of falling into place, so to speak. And I'm scared to death. I don't know what these people are doing. There's all kind of rumors going around about all these conspiracy theories and stuff. And I don't know nothing. I don't know anything about all that, to be honest with you. When I spoke out to try to save the Gulf and make sure that the people who live in the coastal communities, their health stayed intact, and our fishermen received, and all responders. When I went to bat for all of them and the entire Gulf Coast. You know, I've had hours of meetings with these BP safety people, OWA, NOSHA, on the respirator issue. They won't budge. I really feel like they are chemically poisoning our United States citizens, and I want to know, what are they doing, trying to exterminate us? I mean, I've taken my kids and left. I'm not even down there right now.
Well, that's a good thing. I'm glad you got out of there, because technically nobody knows. I mean, nobody knows how deadly it's going to be. No. Go ahead.
Yeah, everyone in my area is under the impression that BP's taking care of everything. You know, a lot of them haven't been put to work yet. The claims process hasn't worked for a lot of them yet. So we have a lot of people that we're trying to help financially. But, you know, you can't eat money, and money's not going to purchase your health back. I mean, only God gave us that when we were born. But, I mean, so I've tried to educate my community, but it seems to me like a lot of people are terrified to really see the bigger picture here. But, I mean, when are they all going to finally know, when they round them up and put them in these FEMA camps? You know what I mean?
Let me make a correction for you real quick, right? Because they're not actually FEMA camps. That's part of the reason why people give us a hard time about it, is because they're actually internment resettlement camps, and they're on military bases, so they're military. So anytime somebody says FEMA, instantly it can be debunked, because they're not actually FEMA camps. They're run by the Army and the Air Force. So I call them internment resettlement camps, because that's what their own manual, FM-19.3.40, is internment resettlement camp, their SOP, standard operating procedure for them. So you got to make sure that you call them the right thing. Otherwise, folks will roll their eyes at you. But if you call them internment resettlement camps, I guarantee you'll have it right. And they have admitted they have those now. You know, they went all that time saying we don't have anywhere to move folks. FEMA has plans. It will be FEMA that initiates the plans, but the camps themselves are on old military bases, and they're claiming they've got places to put folks now. So I think a lot of folks are not going to wake up. Go ahead.
I don't think so either. I got a report this morning, an email from someone in California saying that a ranger that works at the Los Angeles airport had told him that he was asked to be part of the security at one of these camps and our facilities, whatever you want to refer to them as. But at any rate, that he was asked to be part of the security for this thing and these places, and he seen what was coming and refused, and somehow resigned, got discharged from being a ranger, whatever the case may be. I don't know all the terminology for it, but at any rate, that since working at the Los Angeles airport, over the past month, that they have been stocking these places with food.
It's been going on longer than that.
Well, I'm saying the food part, that this guy is just now catching on to the food part about it. You know, I'm trying, you know, I wanted to bring awareness and save as many lives as possible, but people really do not believe that this is happening. They really think that this is crazy people with a conspiracy theory, and I'm finding that nobody that really understands what's going on is crazy. They're just smart enough to figure it out.
And that's one thing they've been working.
Y'all, because, you know, I thank God for all of y'all, because my kids might still be down there if I wouldn't have known all this.
Yeah, I'm very happy you managed to get your family out of there. A lot of folks, they don't have, they either don't have the wherewithal, or they don't have because of the bad economy, they don't have the finances to get themselves out of the cities. But it's not going to be pretty. I'm going to take us out to break right now, because when we come back from break, I want to talk a little bit about the BP blackmailing folks whose property is being damaged. I saw a little bit about that on a couple of blogs, and we talked a little bit about it on the phone. I think it's a VOP BOP program. So when we come back from break in about 3 minutes, we'll go into that a little bit. And I want to thank you listeners for coming in here today and packing the house like this. Must be around 13,000 of you right now. And so for those of you that are listening on all of the sites that our player is embedded on, thank you for coming and listening today. Kendra Arneson, wow, huge guest, huh? We'll be right back in about 3 minutes. All right, welcome back to Freedomizer Radio. Tonight we are joined by Kendra Arneson, and when we left out to break, we were going to bring it back in, of course, talking about, well, basically, it's my understanding that BP is blackmailing people. In other words, if you don't work for BP, you don't get your claims paid. And so I want to ask Kendra, is that indeed the case? Are they holding people's property damage as ransom for working for them?
That is indeed the case.